Welcome to The Real Deal, where it's all about businesses in central Massachusetts and northeastern Connecticut. And now, your host, Anthony Shabbat of Shabbat & Associates.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Real Deal podcast. My name is Anthony Shabbat with Shabbat & Associates Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, and on today's show, we have a very special guest. It's Barney Seney, the mayor of Putnam, Connecticut. Welcome to the show, Barney.
Yeah, well, thank you, Tony. Glad to be here.
So there's a lot of interesting things going on in Putnam, Connecticut, and I interview people from this area because there's so much going on here that I just can't bring myself to leave the area because there's no need to leave here. There's so much fun stuff going on in downtown Putnam. There's so many interesting people to talk to as you go to downtown and you walk through. And you can. I tell everybody I park on one side over by the post office and I walk my way up. And if I have a day free and it's a beautiful day outside, I'll just walk my way up downtown Putnam and I'll just work my way over to all the way over to Jessica Tuesdays, and then I spend an entire day there just talking to all the business owners and the building owners and learning about what's going on in downtown Putnam. So we have a great town here.
Yeah, it's a great town, and it's northeast. Everybody in northeast Connecticut realizes everybody wants to come to Putnam in the northeast because of what we have here. You know, the river fires, the concerts, car cruises, Dazzle Light Parade, Pumpkin Fest. So we have all these events over the years, which attract people to Putnam and helps the business community.
Oh, you're right. And I'm really happy that you were able to, that you're willing to be on my podcast because it's an honor to have you on the show. I've been a huge fan of Putnam for a long time, and there's a lot of neat stuff going on in Putnam that we can talk about right now. So let's get into some of the things. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about right off?
We'll talk about the proposed municipal complex, okay?
Yeah.
Last night, the selectmen voted to send it to a town meeting on September 4th, and then it's going to revert back to a referendum to vote on a new municipal complex. This complex has been years in planning. They had a feasibility committee that was worked a number of years to get different ideas in regards to the proposed town hall, and we finally have a concept plan and cost to build this facility, and it's going to go to the voters September 18th in a referendum.
Okay, so let's take a minute and give people that don't know anything about this, because I'm sure there's probably a ton of people out there that don't know anything about it. So we'll give them a little overview of what it is. It's going to be going into, the proposal is for it to go into over by where Owen Tar fields are right now at the intersection of Providence Street and School Street. Okay.
Right.
So that big piece of land over there where the soccer fields are, that's where the proposal is for the...
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So,
okay, the reason we presented a number of public hearings, me and the town administrator, Mary Callallo, and basically we gave the people the cost of renovating the town hall, what it would cost to renovate the town hall, which was $7.4 million. To renovate the library was $8 million, and to renovate the armory was $6.4 million. So the total cost to renovate the three buildings, if we don't build a new complex, is $22 million. To build new, it's $20 million, the municipal complex. And that complex will have not only a library in it, town hall, but a community center, which the town doesn't have at this point.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, and that's what you were, the last Putnam Business Association meeting, when you stood up in front of everybody and gave an overview of the municipal complex and what it was all about. That's what stuck out to me, was the cost of building a new one as compared to renovating the existing one.
Right. We got cost estimates to renovate the three buildings that we're talking about and what it costs for a new one, so that people have an idea of what they're going into and what these costs are, because these buildings have to be updated. And it costs a lot of money to update the present buildings, and yet we could have one facility and it's all in one place.
Interesting.
Which addresses all the needs of the people. It's like a one-stop shopping. In other words, they can come, go to the library. The elderly can have dinners served there at the community center. Different organizations, boys and girls, scouts can use these facilities along with any volunteer group if they wanted to use the community room for some type of purpose, whatever purpose they need.
So I remembered you saying at the PBA meeting that it was going to be the library was going to be incorporated into it. It's just a ton of things in this one. Where can people learn more about it if they wanted to really get the details of what's going to be included in the new municipal complex?
They can do two things. They can either go on our website, the town's website, and it lists everything there, and it gives you the proposed municipal complex. All the information that we had at public hearings is available. We got copies of it at the library, town hall, economic development office. So there's a number of places they can get copies of the proposed municipal complex, and everything that we made, the program we presented at public hearing is all available.
Okay, so we need to move on to the next topic because, excuse me, I got a frog. Easy for me to say, frog in my throat over here. So basically, we need to move on to the next subject because there's a lot for us to talk about, and it'll take us hours if we don't. So let's move on to the next subject that we wanted to talk about, which is the roads and the sidewalks. What's going on with the roads and the sidewalks in Putnam?
Well, basically, the new highway superintendent and the town administrator worked up a quick road plan for this year so we could address some of the needs that are occurring here in Putnam. And they came up with basically 6.6 miles of road to do using different process like chip seal and emulsion stone, mill and pave, and full depth reclamation, grade and pave, and asphalt seal, crack and filling. So they came up with a number of roads to do within the town of Putnam to start addressing these roads issues. The sidewalks, we're applying for a grant, a LOSIP grant for all the Grove Street sidewalks. We hope to hear something from the state in regards to the urban corridor grant for Woodstock and Church Street, where all the sidewalks will be updated and the roads will be milled and paved. So we are addressing some of the issues with the sidewalks and the roads.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of people talking about the roads because they were all dug up, and at least now the main part of downtown Putnam that goes between the railroad bridge and the intersection at Cargill Falls has been repaved. So that's pretty nice.
Recently repaved, yes.
But you know what? I actually before I get into the whole municipal complex and the roads and sidewalks, what I meant to really do in the beginning, and I completely glossed over this, I wanted to talk about Barney, Seney, and your history and what you've done in your past, because when you start talking to somebody, it's nice to know where did you get started? Where were you born? What kinds of work did you do throughout your life? And can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, I was born in Southbridge, Mass. And then our family moved to Thompson, Connecticut when I was 13. So I went to school in Thompson. I graduated from Turlock Memorial High School, and I went to Ellis Tech and took up machine shop and graduated from there. I worked with my father in his plumbing and heating business for a number of years. And then I was drafted, and I went into the Army, and I went over Vietnam for 13 months, served over Vietnam for 13 months, came home, went back into the construction field, and then I went into the Connecticut State Police and spent 27 years with them. Wow. Retired in 95, and then in 95 to 99 I was first selectman of Thompson, and from there I went on to building my own house, helping my children build their houses and remodel. So
you've been involved in town government for quite a while. So you were first selectman for 4 years?
4 years, yeah. Plus I served on a redevelopment agency up there.
Oh, okay.
The board. I served on the finance board up there.
So you've seen a lot.
Yeah, and I also coached cross country in a high school and took 2 state champions. So over the course of my life I did a lot of things. I was with the volunteer fire department for a number of years, and I was in EMS. I worked in the ambulance service also. So I've held a number of different communities. I've always been community orientated.
Well, it's excellent. I always love to find out the answers to these questions, because when I talk to people, you talk to people on a regular basis, you have no idea where they came from, or where were you born, and what kinds of things have you done in the past. So it's really nice, I feel, to get some sort of a background of people's history and where they're coming from and how they got to where they are. So when you decided, what made you decide that you wanted to be the mayor of Putnam?
I've been involved in public serving all my life, within the community, serving the state and the service. So I always felt that it was my obligation as a citizen to serve the people, I'm involved in government because I want to serve the people. That's what I'm here for, to serve the people. That's my goal.
That's a great goal, and I think more people should have that as a goal. Similar. I do feel like there's also a responsibility for myself to do things for the community. Yeah. So I think it's a good goal for sure. So we're happy to have you as mayor. We're proud to have you as our mayor, and thank you for all the work that you've done. So we've got into that. Trying to think of there. So you started out. You were born in Southbridge. And then you moved to where did you move to again?
I moved to North Groveland.
North Groveland, that's what you said. And then you went to school and graduated Turtle, and you went to Ellis Tech, and then you were working as a machinist, and you worked with your dad with the plumbing business. Right. And then after that, it was first selectman in Thompson. Did I miss anything? Oh no, state police.
I went into construction after I got back from Vietnam.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah.
And then I went into the construction field for a couple of years. Then I went into the state police for 27. Okay. Then I became first selectman in Thompson.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, how long after you were first selectman in Thompson did you decide that you wanted to be the mayor of Putnam?
Well, I lived in Thompson at the time, and I got remarried, and my wife was the town clerk in Putnam, so I had to live in Putnam.
I remember Sarah. Yeah, I used to work with Sarah over here all the time. So I've seen her many times. I was with her today earlier. We're looking at deeds in there.
Yeah. So basically, that's I moved to Putnam because I married a girl from Putnam, and she had to live in Putnam.
Well, that's good. So you guys get to work together. That's nice. And she's great too. Very helpful today.
Oh, yeah.
I came in here earlier today at the Putnam Town Hall, and I talked to the building official. I talked to the building official's assistant, actually, primarily. Yeah. She's been here for 30 years, and she's worked in multiple departments. Huge help, very helpful person. Yeah. And then I went and talked to Sarah for a little while. She showed me similar things that Brenda showed me in the planning and zoning department. But Sarah at the town clerk office, and we went in there and we took a look at some deeds and just kind of she showed me around how to do that stuff. I don't have a lot of experience in looking at the deeds, so it's nice to get a nice walkthrough and somebody show me the ropes of it, which is very handy. So thanks to her too. I tend to get off track. I apologize. I go off on tangents all the time. We could talk all night. This is one of the reasons why I do the podcast, I think, because it gives me a chance to get that talking out of the way. It's when I go home, I don't drive my girlfriend crazy. But anyway, so I'm really getting off topic now. I apologize. So now that you're mayor of Putnam, and we've already spoken of the municipal complex and the roads and sidewalks somewhat. Now, are there certain areas, I think we talked about this at the Putnam Business Association, certain areas are going to take priority with the roads and the sidewalk repairs in Putnam?
We're going to try and prioritize. We've had studies done on both the sidewalks and the streets, okay? And we're going to take that study and put it into a road program so we can address both the sidewalks and the roads at the same time. So we had the study. We know what roads are the worst roads, and we know how we're going to move forward.
The roads that are closest to the center of town are probably going to be the ones that are the most used, so they'll get the highest priority, or how does that work?
Basically, we got to address all the roads. It's not just within the special service district or downtown. Okay. We got issues outside the downtown area that we're addressing this year also.
So now, is it just that the roads are dug up, or is it potholes and sidewalks, or everything?
It's just that the roads. We're addressing roads in different applications. Like some of the roads that are in good shape, you want to keep them in good shape. You don't want to, lose them. In other words, if you don't treat them with something, they're going to break up, and it's going to cost you 3, 4 times, 10 times to fix it. So you got to keep up with your good roads, and then start addressing your bad roads at the same time. So it's a combination of doing both at the same time.
Okay, so I know I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but with the municipal complex, you said how soon do you think that might go in if it ends up everybody votes on it and everything goes through?
It'd be anywhere between 3 and 5 years before it's totally done.
Okay. So anywhere between 2021 and 2023, right around there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to have the town hall and the library and
The
community center all in one building.
Right.
That would be a huge building.
Oh.
Any idea how many square feet on there? Just I'm catching you off guard with that question, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we can come back to that one. But there's a lot going on in that building. So every town hall office. What about economic development? Would they still?
Everybody will be in the town hall. All the offices. The community developer will be in our office in that complex, along with every department head there is. So basically, the square footage of the new building will be about 39,300.
Wow. That is huge.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, and a new library over there, all in one. And is there anything else other than just the town hall and the library and the community center? What's going to be in
the Historical Society?
Oh, Historical Society.
It's going to put some articles in store articles and have a facility there also where they can store their the historical information that the town has.
Okay, so the Aspenok Historical Society is actually
Right.
they're right next to the Owen Tower anyway, right over there.
Right.
So it works out good.
Right.
And then what's going to be going into the community center? What type of things can you do
It's
in
a
there?
combination. There'll be a kitchen in there so that they can make meals for the elderly, and that's what we hope, that the elderly have a place to go.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be separations in between the walls so you can have multiple events in there at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. You know, multiple groups can be using that community center at one time. We can hold our town meetings there, our voting there. So there's a lot of uses for a community center that the town has a real need for.
Well, I know in Killingly, in the community center on Broad Street, that's where they hold the Killingly Business Association meetings in the old auditorium. I went to junior high there, which is kind of neat. I moved around northeastern Connecticut quite a bit, so it's kind of neat to go back to that school again because I was there for 7th grade back when breakdancing was popular.
Yeah.
So it's funny to go in there and used to hold the school dances right below the auditorium and the gymnasium. But in that auditorium, we hold the Killingly Business Association meetings at the community center. So is that in the new community
Definitely.
center in Putnam, be able to hold
definitely.
the PBA meetings
Oh
if
yeah,
we wanted to?
any organization, Rotary, any organization does. American Legion, you got VFWs. We could hold different events there. You know, it'd be open to everybody within the community, from the young ages. You could have yoga classes in there, all kinds of training in there for different organizations. So it's that's why it's called a community center.
Oh, that's really interesting. I'd love to see some sort of I wonder if there's some sort of a three-dimensional animation that's been created that kind of walks you through the whole thing. It looks like there's some graphics that have been created, but I wonder if there's a fly-through tour that could show you all of the building in 3 dimensions and take you on a tour of the interior of the building. That would be pretty neat to see.
Yeah, not at this point, not in the concept plan.
Okay. All right, so I think we've covered those two things. Let's move on to the new fuel system and the fleet management system. What is that for? I'm guessing Public Works.
That's for the Public Works and the school department. We're getting a fleet management system along with a fuel system so we can monitor how much fuel every vehicle uses.
So now, to somebody that doesn't even understand what Public Works is that what do they do in Public Works?
Public Works is actually the department that takes care of all the roads, sidewalks. Public Works is what it means. It's Public Works.
They mow the common areas.
Yeah,
stuff like
they
that?
between them and recreation, they do the parks,
Okay.
every park in town, the pocket parks, the community gardens. They maintain all the town property, basically.
I just saw them. I was down in Rotary Park the other day, and I saw some workers working on Rotary Park. So they were part of the Public Works Department. They went out there with the lawnmowers. And
Right.
They were doing
There's a
and all that
combination of Public Works and Recreation Department.
So what type of a new fuel system
Well, basically, it's a self-storage system, and it's a new system that all we like to maintain who burns what fuel and how much we use. Okay, so we can keep a really good fuel consumption. And it will be right now. We fill it up when we need it. And this will have an idea of how much fuel we're using, and it'll keep us aware of all the fuel needs for the town of Putnam.
Okay, so is it a fuel consumption management system more than a new fuel
well, it's
system?
it's a combination of both. It makes it easier for us to maintain a good supply of fuel and know what we have on hand at all times.
I thought it was, for some reason I was thinking we were switching over to like some sort of a
no,
propane,
it's gas and diesel.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be hard to get those dump trucks to use hybrid.
Yeah.
Engines, right? Okay, so the new fuel system and fleet management system we've spoken about that briefly, and now this one is kind of interesting. I think a lot of people are going to like the sound of this one. Because the Owentar space would be taken from the new municipal complex, there are going to be new areas that we're going to be utilizing for the space that was being used at the Owentar space.
Right.
So how does that work?
Basically, it's a two-part series, okay? The town also owns some land on Sabin Street, okay? And once these fields are approved, the voters approved as fields, what we'll do is remove material gravel from Sabin Street and use it to build the fields down behind practice football fields down in Recreational Park, okay?
And we were talking about this before. So this is over by Putnam Elementary School. There's a huge blue track, and between the blue track and the elementary school, there's a path that goes down to some fields in the back behind the concession stands for the, and that's where the new fields are going to be.
Right. Yeah, that's where the new fields will be, and it will address the needs that all the fields we lost at Owentar will be located at that facility.
Do you know if they're going to be actually clearing more trees from that area, or is it already big enough?
It's pretty clear. That area is pretty clear. That's going to be a fairly easy area to develop the new fields.
Okay, excellent. And here's the other part of that, the part on Sabin Street. That's an additional location for.
Right. In the future, we're going to locate some multiple purpose fields there, along with a walking trail and a disc golf
course, right?
Course, yes.
So off of Sabin Street, you would access it through Sabin Street?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not really familiar with the exact location of it, but there's going to be a disc golf course and walking trail.
And multiple purpose fields.
And multiple purpose fields. Great. Okay. So that wraps up all of those there, and then let's move on to the next subject, which is the opportunity zones. That's kind of an interesting subject that I don't know much about. I've only been exposed to it recently because one of my clients at the Montgomery Ward building, his wife Eileen, or actually she's also my client, she sent me an email with information about opportunity zones. So can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, it's a new program that basically we applied through the state and federal government to be an opportunity zone. What it is, it's individuals that have paid capital gain taxes that they can invest within the opportunity zone into that property and not pay so much capital gain taxes. They can actually invest in property within the zone, and they can do it by residential, commercial, or industrial within that zone.
I wonder if there's someone that I can talk to in the area that's really like a financial analyst or some sort of a CPA or something like that that might understand the opportunity zones from somebody that makes a lot of money that wants to invest in the community. So how can they take advantage of the opportunity zones?
Well, they can go online and look it up. We could give them the online after. I can't remember.
Oh, it's EIG. I can't remember either. I think it's something like EIG.com/opportunity zones. I have it right here. I can open it up. This is interesting because it's EIG.org/opportunity zones. So again, EIG.org/opportunity zones. And it does look like a really interesting program.
Yes, if you go online on that, you can find all the information you need about it to address it. But we are one of the only small communities in Connecticut to get awarded that opportunity zone, so we're really happy about that.
I'm going to have to look more into that. So I'm wondering if people that they're very wealthy and they have a lot of capital gains, they can take those capital gains, the taxes they would have to pay on the capital gains, or the capital gains tax rather,
right.
And instead of paying the taxes on it, they just apply it to something to improve the community. That seems too good to be true. That seems like such an opportunity for somebody if they realize that.
If it's an opportunity to, this is what they want it for. They want it to help communities, distressed communities, to bring up the housing market, to address the housing market. So it's a real interesting program, federal program.
So I wonder what they can apply that to. Does it have to be a downtown building that's in bad shape that needs renovations? Because we have some of those in downtown that could really use some help.
It's anything. It's residential, commercial, industrial. That whatever capital gains. I said, they can go online and learn more about it in regards to how much they can invest. I don't have that information offhand.
That's really interesting. There's one building in particular that I can think of that could really use some help. It's right across from 85 Main. It's been in shambles for a long time. And trying to remember the name of that building.
It's 76 to 80 Main Street.
Right. Yeah, that's right next to the Shopper's Guide and between the Shopper's Guide and 88 Main. That one could really use some help. So if we could find some rich people that want to donate some of their capital gains to that building, that'd be awesome. If anybody can help us out in that area, let me know. All right, so I'm getting a little off track again. Having too much fun with the mayor over here. So can you blame me? This is great. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the redevelopment. This is the last thing that we really have to talk about on this podcast recording until we come back in a few months or maybe 6 months and do it again, hopefully. If you give me that chance again, hopefully it'll come out nice and people will like it. But the redevelopment, rehabilitation, property tax deferral. I know it's a mouthful. It's a heck of a thing to say. Let me repeat that again. Redevelopment, rehabilitation, property tax deferral. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, there was an ordinance that was adopted by the town to help people within this. All the properties are listed that would apply for this. In other words, if an individual bought a house for $100,000 within this area, okay, and made improvements to it, was assessed at $100,000. He made $100,000 improvements to it, so now it's assessed at $200,000. What happens is, if they make application prior to even starting the project, they make application to the town in regards to this grant. What happens is that $100,000 assessment, the first year will stay at $100,000, and for the next 10 years it'll go up 10%, so until it reaches the $200,000 threshold.
So it goes up 10% a year instead of 100% immediately.
Right.
So instead of going from 100,000 to a 200,000 assessment, it just goes up 10%.
Right.
That is a huge benefit, right? So if their taxes are going to double, but instead of doubling, they just go up 10%.
Right.
For 10 years. So that's a great incentive. So how can people learn more about that? Would that be something at Delphi?
That's also on our web page. If you look it up, that's also on our homepage.
Okay, so you can go to putnamct.us, right? The website has not changed over the years. So I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We spent about half an hour recording. We probably spent another half an hour talking about stuff before here. But it's been great talking with you, Barney, and thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's an honor, and I hope to be able to continue this podcast and get a lot of other local people that I find interesting, that I'm basically just pulling names out of the air, people that I recognize their names, and people will suggest people to me that I can interview. But you're definitely top of the list, so thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tony.
All right, everybody, that's Barney Seney, Mayor of Putnam, Connecticut. And for more information, putnamct.us. I hope we can do this again in a few months. And if you know of anybody that is looking for listing their house for sale, or if they're looking to buy a home, you can feel free to give me a call. My name is Anthony Shabbat of Shabbat and Associates Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, and I would be happy to answer any real estate questions that you have. And I also, not only am I a realtor, but I'm also a real estate photographer, and I do drone videos and virtual tours and floor plans and web design, video production, you name it, I do it when it comes to real estate marketing. I'd be happy to answer any questions. My number is 508-847-0902. Again, 508-847-0902. Thanks, everybody, for watching the show, and we'll see you next time.